The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home, the wipers of my Ford struggling to keep up. I was late again. Working as a software engineer in Seattle meant long hours, but I didn't mind. I loved my job and I loved my wife, Hazel. We had a comfortable life in a quiet suburb, a life I thought was built on mutual trust and respect. I was 42. I pulled into the driveway, the headlights illuminating our cozy two-story house. The lights were on inside and I could hear the faint sound of music. She must be cooking, I thought, a smile tugging at my lips. Hazel was a fantastic cook, always trying out new recipes she found online. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside, the aroma of garlic and herbs filling my nostrils. "Honey, I'm home," I called out, dropping my briefcase by the door. No response. "Hazel," I tried again, a little louder this time. I walked into the kitchen, expecting to find her stirring a pot or chopping vegetables, but the kitchen was empty. The stove was off and the counter was clean. The only sign of activity was a half-empty bottle of wine on the table and two glasses. "That's odd," I muttered to myself. "She must have gone out." I glanced at the clock on the microwave. 8:30 p.m. Where would she go at this hour without telling me? A knot of unease began to form in my stomach. I pulled out my phone and dialed her number. Rang and rang, but she didn't answer. Maybe she's just in the shower, I reasoned, trying to calm my nerves. I walked upstairs to the bedroom, hoping to find her getting ready for bed. But the bedroom was empty too. The bathroom door was open and the shower was dry. My heart started to pound in my chest. "Okay, something's not right," I said, my voice trembling slightly. I decided to check her computer. Hazel worked from home as a freelance graphic designer, so she spent a lot of time online. Maybe she had left me a message or an email explaining where she had gone. I went into her office, which was next to the bedroom, and sat down at her desk. The computer was on, but the screen was blank. I moved the mouse to wake it up and the desktop appeared. It was a picture of us from our trip to Italy last year, standing in front of the Colosseum. We looked so happy then, so in love. I clicked on her email icon and the inbox opened. There were dozens of unread messages, mostly from clients and colleagues. I scrolled through them, looking for anything that might explain her absence, but there was nothing. Then I noticed a folder labeled Personal in the left-hand column. It was password protected. Hazel had never password protected her email before. We had always been open and honest with each other. What was she hiding? The knot in my stomach tightened. I felt a cold sweat break out on my forehead. I had a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I tried to guess the password, but nothing worked. I tried her birthday, our anniversary, our dog's name. Nothing. Finally, out of desperation, I tried her mother's maiden name, and it worked. The folder opened, revealing a list of emails. My eyes scanned the subjects and my heart skipped a beat. There were dozens of emails to someone named Jasper. I didn't recognize the name. I clicked on the first email and it opened. It was a love letter. A passionate, explicit love letter. My hands began to shake as I read the words on the screen. Words that Hazel had written to another man. Words that she had never written to me. I scrolled through the other emails, each one more damning than the last. They revealed a secret world that I never knew existed. A world of stolen moments, secret rendezvous, and forbidden desires. Hazel was having an affair, and it had been going on for months. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. The air was knocked out of me and I couldn't breathe. My head was spinning and my vision was blurring. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My Hazel, my sweet, loving Hazel, was cheating on me. I continued to read, my eyes darting across the screen, trying to make sense of it all. Jasper was a coworker of hers, a graphic designer who worked at the same company as her biggest client. They had met at a conference a few months ago, and apparently sparks had flown. The emails described their secret meetings, their stolen kisses, their passionate nights together. They talked about how they couldn't get enough of each other, how they were soulmates, how they were meant to be together. I felt a surge of anger rise up inside me. How could she do this to me? How could she betray me like this? I had given her everything. I had loved her with all my heart, and she had thrown it all away for some fling with a coworker. I slammed the laptop shut, my hands trembling with rage. I needed to find her, I needed to confront her, I needed to know why. I grabbed my phone and dialed her number again. This time she answered. "Hello," she said, her voice sounding breathless. "Where are you?" I demanded, my voice shaking with anger. There was a pause. I'm at a friend's house, she stammered. What friend? I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Jasper, there was another pause, a longer one this time. How did you know? She finally said, her voice barely a whisper. I read your emails, I said, my voice cracking with emotion. I know everything. There was silence on the other end of the line, a long, deafening silence. I can explain, she finally said, her voice trembling. Explain what? I shouted. Explain how you've been lying to me for months. Explain how you've been sleeping with another man. Explain how you've destroyed our marriage. Please, Felix, just let me explain, she begged, her voice breaking. I'll come home right now. We can talk about this. Don't bother, I said, my voice cold and hard. It's over, Hazel. I want a divorce. I hung up the phone, my hands shaking uncontrollably. I felt numb, empty, like a part of me had died. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall, trying to process what had just happened. My whole world had been turned upside down in a matter of minutes. The woman I loved, the woman I had trusted with my life, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I just knew that I couldn't stay in that house any longer. It was filled with too many memories, too many lies. I grabbed my keys and my wallet and I walked out the door. I got into my car and started driving, not knowing where I was going. I just needed to get away, to escape the pain, to escape the betrayal. I drove for hours, the rain still pouring down, the wipers still struggling to keep up. I ended up at a motel on the outskirts of the city. I checked in, went to my room, and collapsed on the bed. I lay there for hours, staring at the ceiling, tears streaming down my face. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there thinking about Hazel, thinking about Jasper, thinking about all the lies and deceit. I woke up the next morning feeling exhausted and drained. I went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and barely recognized the man staring back at me. My eyes were bloodshot, my face was pale, and my hair was a mess. I looked like I had aged 10 years overnight. I splashed some water on my face and tried to pull myself together. I knew I couldn't stay in that motel forever. I had to do something. I had to figure out what to do with my life. I decided to call my best friend Silas. He was always there for me no matter what. I knew he would listen to me, offer advice, and help me get through this. I dialed his number and he answered on the second ring. Felix, what's up, man? He said, his voice sounding cheerful. Silas, I need your help, I said, my voice trembling. What's wrong? He asked, his voice instantly turning serious. I told him everything. About Hazel, about Jasper, about the emails, about the divorce. I told him everything. He listened patiently without interrupting. When I was finished, he said, I'm so sorry, Felix. That's terrible. I can't believe Hazel would do that to you. I know, I said, my voice cracking. I just don't know what to do. Come over to my house, he said. We'll talk about it. We'll figure something out. I drove to Silas's house and he greeted me at the door with a hug. He led me inside and we sat down at his kitchen table. He poured me a cup of coffee and we started to talk. Silas listened to me vent for hours. He offered words of encouragement, advice, and support. He reminded me of all the good things in my life, all the things I had to be grateful for. He helped me see that I was going to get through this, that I was going to be okay. The first thing you need to do is get a lawyer, he said. You need to protect yourself. Hazel is going to try to take you for everything you've got. I don't care about the money, I said. I just want to be done with her. I know, he said. But you still need to protect yourself. Get a good lawyer and let them handle everything. I took Silas's advice and hired a lawyer. She was tough, experienced, and she knew how to deal with cheating spouses. She told me not to contact Hazel, not to talk to her, not to even look at her. She said she would handle everything. The divorce process was long and painful. Hazel tried to deny the affair, but my lawyer had the emails. She tried to claim that I was abusive, but my friends and family testified to my good character. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. I got the house, the car, and a fair share of our savings. Hazel was left with nothing. She had lost her husband, her home, and her reputation. Jasper had dumped her as soon as the affair became public. She was all alone. I felt a twinge of sympathy for her, but I quickly pushed it aside. She had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. It took me a long time to heal from the betrayal. I went to therapy. I spent time with my friends and family, and I focused on my work. Slowly but surely, I started to rebuild my life. I learned to trust again, to love again, and to be happy again. I met someone new, a wonderful woman named Rowena who loved me for who I was. We got married last year, and we are happier than I ever thought possible. Hazel, on the other hand, never recovered. She spiraled into depression and addiction. I heard through mutual friends that she had lost her job and was living on the streets. One day, I was driving home from work when I saw her. She was standing on a street corner begging for money. She looked gaunt, disheveled, and utterly broken. I felt a wave of sadness wash over me. I wanted to help her, to offer her a hand, but I knew I couldn't. She had made her choices and she had to live with the consequences. I drove past her, my heart aching. I knew that I could never forgive her for what she had done to me, but I also knew that I couldn't hate her. I just felt sorry for her. As I drove away, I realized that I had finally found peace. I had forgiven myself for the mistakes I had made and I had accepted the past. I was finally free. Life is full of surprises, both good and bad. Sometimes we are betrayed by the people we love the most, but we can't let those betrayals define us. We have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving forward. We have to learn to trust again, to love again, and to be happy again. Because in the end, that's all that really matters.